what if, or make the case that what we're experiencing now is the high watermark of MAGA, that it is like, as far as my old relatives, my now dead relatives, many of whom died on the spot, did with Custer's charge and Pickett's charge in Gettysburg. You almost got to the wall, a few people did, but then it was driven back and you lost the war. That the country is not where MAGA is, that the coalition that they've put together for all of the great celebration of how not purely white it is, at the end of the day, can you really want to celebrate that 86% of African Americans voted against you instead of 91%? I mean, we're really going to do that. And 61% of Asians voted against you. Trump's coalition in 20 was 85% white. Okay, he did better.
I often said in the first term that when I was confused by something that Trump was doing, if I came back to this, I came back to this grounding principle that if I looked at what he was doing with the eyes that he worked for Vladimir Putin or worked with Vladimir Putin, then it made more sense, right? Yeah. Then somehow, and I think the degree to which this guy is going to try to undermine and attack our economy, our democracy, our standing in the world, our military alliances, everything this is a real
this sense of optimism, I think, is so essential. Nobody wins a Super Bowl if they walk out on the field saying, we might have a chance. You've got to walk out saying, we're going to win this thing. It's going to be hard, but we're going to win.
It's very hard for the last 2 weeks is that interest rates, long-term interest rates are rising here in the United States and around the world now. And Donald Trump has already, through his reckless economic policies, betrayed his central promise of his campaign, which was to lower prices and lower costs in the United States. They're actually going up because of him. And I think that we have to continue to view Trump and Trumpism in the way that we viewed it during the campaign, right? He's diminished. He's mad. He's an extremist. He's, he's a felon. He's a traitor to the country. We can't let go of any of that. We can't and I think this process of
so important.
This process of pulling the curtain back from the wizard every day, it's a daily exercise. We cannot allow their madness to become
Do not confuse losing an election with being wrong. Because you lost an election doesn't mean you were wrong. I grew up in Mississippi and saw my parents supporting anti-segregation candidates. And, for years and years and years, their candidate lost. But that didn't make them sit around the kitchen table and go, maybe segregation's not that bad because people are voting for it. No. And I really think that is essential. Have an attitude, we're right, they're wrong. And don't try to meet the guy in the Camp Auschwitz sweatshirt standing in the Capitol.
He was bad. It was insulting for the country. He's a joke. He's a buffoon. He literally could not pass the background check to be hired for a janitor's job in any corporation in the United States, given his record. And Trump is now going to be putting forward a series of people who it would be very difficult for any private corporation to hire based on their behavior, including the president himself, right? He's a 34 times felon now, convicted criminal. We have a criminal coming in as president next week. And I think that, Trump is asking the Senate Republicans to accept the unacceptable.
And you read all the stuff that was written by Republicans about Bill Clinton, how presidency was so much more than just an office and how you had to have people in government who could look up to it. If you look at how the Republican Party responded when John Tower from Texas was nominated, who was another guy who was a drunk and had a lot of problems with women, and they didn't vote for him, even though he was a colleague and was a United States senator. So those are Republican senators voting against a colleague because they know it's best for the country. And that wasn't that long ago. And now Hegseth, this guy picked off of Fox News. I don't know, man. I think it just shows further evidence of the collapse of the sense of responsibility of the Republican Party.